happy Monday. Oh, happy Black Girl Magic Monday. Hi, guys. I hope you had a great weekend. Today I'm reading from New Daughters of Africa as per Monday. I'm trying to no, I'm not gonna. I think that let me. Okay, great. How are you? Welcome. So, I'm going to try and read 2 stories today. Because one is very short. I haven't actually read it. I meant to read it over the weekend, but I just couldn't. But I think it should be very, very short. So, hi, dearest. Dear astronaut. Hello, hi, everybody. So, Mondays, I read from New Daughters of Africa, the anthology. A great, like, you don't even read it and finish it and get rid of it. You buy it so that your children will be able to read it as well. You buy it for your friends. You don't give it away. You just keep it. It's a great anthology to have on your book collection, and that is what I've been reading from every Monday. If you have been missing it, the videos are saved on IGTV and on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, which is Bookamoso Book Club. So that is there if you have been missing them. So I'm going to be reading 2 stories. I think I can make it up until 1:30, because the one story is it looks like it's very short. I haven't read it, but it's Leila Aboulela. I'm going to read the back for those who you got that for your birthday last year. Hello. A red black girl is on here, and she says she got this. See, people get it for gifts for birthdays. So buy it for your friends, buy it for your girlfriend, buy it for your sister. Like, just buy it. It's a beautiful, beautiful anthology. New Daughters of Africa continues that. So 25 years ago, Margaret Busby's groundbreaking anthology Daughters of Africa illuminated the silent, forgotten, underrated voices of Black women. Published to international acclaim, it was hailed as an extraordinary body of achievement, a vital document of lost history. And New Daughters of Africa continues that mission. So I actually tried to Google and find Daughters of Africa, and sure, yeah, the prizes are very nice, but it will be nice to have it. You can order it. It's literally everywhere. I got my copy from Afroculture. That is at Afroculture, AFROKULCHA, Afroculture. And sure, the prize is very nice. Yes. Yes, yeah, it is. I got it from Afroculture at the launch. So I was at the launch and I got it there. But it is available online. It is available on exclusive books. Loot is your safest bet. I'm sure Reader's Warehouse has it. I'm sure Bargain Books has it. CNA, it is everywhere. So you can get it everywhere. Shop around. You never know. Yeah. What else was I gonna say? It is published by Jonathan Ball Publishers in South Africa. So New Daughters of Africa continues that mission for a new generation, bringing together a selection of overlooked artists of the past with fresh and vibrant voices that have emerged from across the globe in the last 2 decades, from Antigua to Zimbabwe and Angola to the USA. Key figures join popular contemporaries in paying tribute to the heritage that unites them. Each of the pieces in this remarkable collection demonstrates an uplifting sense of sisterhood. Oh, sisterhood, guys. Honors the strong links that endure from generation to generation and addresses the common obstacles women writers of color face as they negotiate issues of race, gender, and class, and confront vital matters of independence, freedom, and oppression. Hi Makanaka. Hi everybody. Hi Kumpu. Hi Hi, Tandy. Hello, hello, hello. I see everybody's here. Okay, I'm gonna read the first story, which is by a Leila Aboulela, Aboulela, was born in Cairo to an Egyptian mother and a Sudanese father. She grew up in Sudan and moved to Scotland in 1990. Between 2000 and 2012, she lived in Jakarta, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Doha, and then returned to Aberdeen, where she still lives. She was awarded the first Kane Prize for African Writing in 2000 for her short story, The Museum, which was included in her collection of stories, Colored Lights. Her other publications include The Kindness of Enemies and The Translator, which was in 1999. So The Kindness of Enemies was 2015. I think that's her latest. No, I'm not. I'm wrong. Let me continue reading. Minaret, which was 2005. Lyrics Alley, 2011. Fiction winner. Oh, and then she was fiction winner of the Scottish Book Award. A collection of short stories, Elsewhere. Home, which was in 2018, which won the Saltire Fiction Book of the Year. Oof, like a lot. Her work has been translated into 15 languages, guys. Like, you know. So, this story that I'm reading is called A Very Young Judge. And it's very, very short. Ms. Weiner says, I can't beat her because she also has a copy now. Yeah, see? Hey, listen, people are getting this book. They're getting gifted this book. You better gift yourself this book and keep it. Don't give it away. Keep it. It's a very important book. It's one for the book collection, you know? Okay, Very Young Judge. If you're looking for it, it's on page 227. My best friend, Lena, laid down the law regarding clothes. No green with blue, no checks with stripes, sandals and handbags must match. The first thing I look at in a man, she said, is his shoes. Yes, please. You know? Sorry, guys, I'm so thirsty. We were 11 at the time. Imagine, like at 11, girl knew that that's the first thing that she looks at, his shoes. She was my companion during the long years of puberty when womanhood loomed ahead of us, fractured and out of reach. I visited her almost every day. Her house was more feminine than ours, her father more indulgent. He had a sheepish smile and smelt of lemony, expensive cologne. I watched as Lena stroked his scalp. With him, she became a cuddly girl again, her mother taking time from an almost continuous regime of grooming to look up and smile. It was neighborhood gossip that Lena's mother went for regular massages. This, in my austere household, was viewed as the height of decadence. In the playground, I smoothed down my new-eyed dress, loving its loose softness and flowers. Lena studied me and said, "It makes you look pregnant." When I stuck to her advice, she sighed and complained, "You're so repetitive." Her comments about others' scruffiness and vulgar tastes made me laugh. "He looks like he hasn't had a shower today," she would say, or "Her ears are too big for her head." Or she would make pronouncements such as, "An ugly couple will have a beautiful baby," and rattle off the names of acquaintances to prove her point. Once on our way home from school, stepping out from the grocer, we saw Lena's father and a woman getting into the back of a taxi. The woman was in tight trousers, a black t-shirt sliding off her shoulders. She shimmered with gold dust and crimson, her hair twisted to one side to show long, jingly earrings. Lena and I stood on the pavement and stared as they drove off. When we started walking again, Lena's voice was calm and objective. My father is a womanizer, but he has good taste. I thought Lena would make fun of the woman's greasy lip gloss or even call her a slut. Instead, she turned to me and frowned. You really must do something about your bushy hair. Are you competing with Einstein? She was ruthless about her own looks. Every pimple was dealt with without mercy, every excess hair removed. She wore a wide belt under her clothes in order to slim her waist. Even when she dressed casually, it was deliberate and thought out. The right jewelry, the right shoes, her hair done in a different style, the look innovative and well matched. Unlike me, she hated our school uniform. Nothing pleased her more than meeting girls outside school and checking out how they dressed. Or the few events when we were allowed to come to school out of uniform. We attended a Catholic missionary school in which most of the students, like us, were Muslims. It was the best private school in Khartoum, but Lena took a dislike to the nuns. Their white habits depressed her. Their cultivated plainness was alien to her soul. Worst of all, she would snap, are the pretty nuns. What a waste. Once she asked me, who do you think is the most beautiful girl in our class? I nominated the popular, glamorous ones, including her, but she snorted and chose instead a studious Ethiopian refugee on a scholarship. The girl was without the benefit of fancy clothes or trips to the hairdresser. I was taken aback. Lena could scramble and find a gem. She cared enough to look beyond the obvious. So I gathered my courage and asked for her judgment. I made a mistake when I begged. Lena, tell me the truth, the real truth. Am I pretty? She passed her sentence on me. She passed her sentence on me. Her ultimate assessment. That was when I first started to want to break free from her. It was for aesthetic reasons that Lena rose against the girls who started to wear hijab. Lena was no less religious than any of us, but appearances were her territory, her unchallenged area of expertise. The first girl who came to school with her hair covered caused a stir. Unlike the rest of us, she was wearing a long-sleeved white shirt, and her navy pinafore had been adjusted to reach her ankles. The nuns weren't happy. It was a violation of the dress code, they said. In break, Lena dragged me to the hijabi girl. She tapped her on her shoulder and spoke out loud. Tell me, when your hair is your best feature, why do you hide it and emphasize your big nose? The nuns moved to expel the girl, but there were now new government policies which sided with the hijab. A missionary school in a Muslim country would always be vulnerable. The teachers turned a blind eye to the new taunts of the schoolyard, and Lena made the most of this. She got bolder as the popularity of the hijab spread, sometimes drawing these girls out in heated arguments, once even tugging a veil off a junior's head. I was always with her, her best audience, her sidekick. I didn't protest when she spread a rumor that girls who wore hijab would never get married. I didn't stop her when she drove a younger one to tears. In the schoolyard, I walked next to her, conscious of her grooming, her self-conscious air, her aura of fashion. But I was already plotting to match blue with green, to wear the same thing more than once, and move away from her jurisdiction. So that was a very young judge. Yeah, no, this Lena was a judge. Sure. I'm actually glad that when I was growing up, I also didn't have any issues about like repeating clothes or she is very problematic. Mm-mm. So that was a very, very short story by Leila Aboulela, a very young judge. And I think I want to read, I think I also put it up in the title of this live. Hi everybody that just joined. So I am actually going to read 2 stories because there is still time. I can't believe that this girl was such a judgy, like a Judge Lena. Hello, hi everybody. So I'm reading from 2 stories today from New Daughters of Africa. So for those who just came in, you are still in time for my second reading, which is Aminatta Forna's I loved it so much, Santigi. It is rather long, but I think I can manage. Yeah, I loved it. It was beautiful writing. Oh my goodness. And I actually do have Aminatta Forna's The Memory of Love, and I haven't read it. And now after this I'm like, what? She is like a beautiful writer. And I've got some scribbles around here. I don't even know what was I scribbling, but anyway, yeah, like, whew. Hi everybody that just came in. So I just finished reading A Very Young Judge. What a Young Judge by A Very Young Judge was by Leila Aboulela. Also beautifully written as well. And girls always are the ones who are like very, I don't know, like they want to dictate, you know, like what people must wear at school. Like, why are you wearing this? Why are you wearing that? Ugh, no. Girls bullying can be extremely painful. Yeah, I actually have a very, very horrible story about like a girl I was once friends with. Yo, guys. Yeah, no, I think even when in my like grown up age, when I saw her like back home in town, like I was literally very scared. I didn't even say hi. I literally just walked past because I was nervous. Like, yeah. Her short story collection, Elsewhere Home, is a beautiful read. Oh yes, I just read about it here. Oh, Elsewhere Home 2018. Okay, I need to start collecting all these short stories because I really love short stories. Okay, so I'm gonna start reading Santigi, and then I'll read Aminatta Forna's bio afterwards. Okay, so this is Santigi. Santigi was a foundling, or at least Santigi was as close to being a foundling as you can imagine. None of us, not even Santigi, knew his origins. He knew the name of the village where he was born, but never been back there. But had never been back there. He knew he did not know the names of his mother or his father. He called himself a loco for the reason that he understood the language, which was his only tie to his beginnings. Santigi the loco, we'd call him, and he would bang himself on the chest and say, "Loco!" My stepmother, Yabome's first memory of Santigi was when he met her off the train from school. At that time, Santigi had come to live in the house with Yabome and the grandmother who raised her. At that age, Yabome never thought to ask where Santigi had come from, and when her grandmother died, the old lady took whatever knowledge she possessed with her. It was rumored that Santigi's mother had borne him alone, had left him with neighbors while she went to find work, scratching for diamonds in the eastern mines, that she had died there. When she failed to return, the neighbors had given her young son to the old lady to raise. The story makes some kind of sense, but still, it is hard to imagine in a country where kinship is everything, where ties of allegiance are what binds, in a small country where everybody knows everyone else and their business, that a woman could be so alone. As for Santigi, if you asked him, all he ever told you was that he was a loco. He made my stepmother, Yabome, his family. When she went away to Scotland to college on scholarship and came back, Santigi was waiting for her. And when she married my father, Santigi came along too. Nobody knew how old Santigi was. In her first memory of him, of being met by him off the train from her boarding school, my stepmother would have been 12 and guessed him to be a few years older, perhaps 16. In those days, we had cousins living with us whose school fees my father paid. My father was a medical doctor, a politician and activist, with a high regard for learning. He had ambitions to raise the academic standards of his family, having been the only one of his generation to go to school. His father, a regent chief, a wealthy farmer and landholder, was a man who believed in the old ways and held modernity in contempt. Thus, he had sent none of his children to the new mission and government schools, with the exception of my father, for the reason that his mother, my grandfather's sixth wife, was dead. Even then, he did so under duress and in answer to a mandate from the paramount chief that each family submit one child to the new mission school in the next village. Yabome's father, on the other hand, who had been a merchant who traded in gold, was possessed of unusual foresight for the time, and had made sure every one of his children went to school and to university. It was a story repeated all over the old world, the aristocracy holding on to outdated modes of thinking and tied to the values of the land, only to be overtaken by the rising middle class. Santigi wanted to go to school, but my father said he was already too old. Instead, he sent Santigi to adult education classes at night. Often, when I came back from school in the afternoon, Santigi would sit next to me at the dining room table while I did my homework and copy out the questions and answers into his own exercise book. If life had gone on in that way, maybe Santigi would somehow have realized his dream to go to college, though I don't remember his ambitions being taken particularly seriously. His enthusiasm for learning was not, it seems, matched by aptitude, and even if it were, it would not have helped, for all our lives were about to change. By 1970, Sierra Leone was a nascent dictatorship. A one-party state was on the rise. My father was arrested and jailed for his opposition to the prime minister. Our household was scattered. The cooks and stewards, the driver, all departed. My cousins went back to live with their families. Mom, my sister and brother and I went into hiding and then into exile in London, where we would stay for 3 years. Only Santigi stayed on, living in the empty rooms of our house. He guarded our possessions against thieves, and every week he went to the Pademba Road prison where my father was being held. Santigi brought my father food and clean clothes and took away his washing, returning it ironed and folded the following week. In times like those, loyalty is hard to find. What he did was more powerful than mere loyalty. Violence was on the rise. Our home had been stoned by political thugs. Those same thugs raided newspaper offices, threatened journalists, university professors, and lawyers, beat up anyone who dared to oppose the Prime Minister in his determination to become president for life. All our household staff had been held and detained at headquarters. My stepmother. Sorry. Okay, all our household staff had been held and detained at CID headquarters, my stepmother too, and Santigi. Santigi had been badly beaten. As he waited at the prison gates, Santigi would have been taunted by the guards, I am sure, as were the prisoners themselves. His visits to my father were an act of loyalty and of courage. They were also an act of resistance. Like the mothers, now the grandmothers of the Plaza de Mayo, who come out every day in Buenos Aires to march in memory of their disappeared sons and daughters. So Santigi came every week to the prison gates to remind the authorities that my father was not forgotten. When my father was released, taken to the prison gates and let out without warning, he had no money for a taxi, but a passing driver recognized him and gave him a lift. When he arrived home, there was Santigi. It was Santigi who cooked my father's first meal as a free man. In the year that followed, the pleasure of being reunited, of my father's freedom, made us giddy. We danced to that year's hit, Kung Fu Fighting. We sang and we punched and kicked the air. We, the three children, and our older cousins, Morlai, Esther, Agnes, and of course, Santigi. Santigi got religion around that time and changed his name to Simon Peter and then to Santos. He carried a Bible around, and he also talked about his dream of becoming a photographer, even though he had never owned a camera. I would, in my university years, buy him a camera, and for a while he would have a small booth where he took portraits. But all that was some years off. A year after being freed, my father was arrested again, this time on charges of treason. A year after that, he was executed. Our landlords gave us notice. Mom had trouble finding anyone who would rent her an apartment or give her a job. When she eventually succeeded in both, she didn't earn enough money to look after all of us and Santigi too. Santigi found work elsewhere and came every Sunday to wash our clothes, even though Mom couldn't pay him. He told me often that he would keep coming until the day I graduated from university, and he did. In time, Mom remarried and Santigi was given a job as head steward in the new household. But by then, he had begun to drink. He had one failed marriage and then another. Each produced a daughter. He named the first Yabome and the second Memuna Aminatta after my sister and me. He showed little interest in either girl. Eventually, Memuna Aminatta's mother met a man who made her happy, and she disappeared from our lives. Santigi's first wife, Marion, married again too, but remained a friend to Santigi, although it's hard to say whether he deserved her loyalty. What it was he was searching for at that time, I don't know. He dyed his hair with boot polish, and when he sweated in the heat, the polish ran down his face. He insisted he was younger than he was, until he knocked so many years off his age that, if he were to be believed, he would be younger than my stepmother and soon almost as young as my elder brother, on whom he certainly had 20 years. Santigi became a figure of fun among the children in the neighborhood. and he kept on drinking. He remained trustworthy in every way except one. When my parents were out, he helped himself to the contents of the liquor cabinet. He frequently turned up to work intoxicated, and after several warnings, my stepfather lost patience and Santigi was suspended. Hey, Santigi unalistutu. He did everything to win his job back. In Sierra Leone, there exists a custom whereby a person of lower status who has offended a person of higher status will appeal to someone of equivalent or, better still, even greater status than the offended party, pleading for that person to intercede on their behalf. To beg for them is what we say in Creole. In the decades he had lived and worked with my family, Santigi had met dozens of people of influence and remembered them all. Now he visited their homes, waiting patiently for an audience. He explained the circumstances of his suspension, persuaded each of his contrition, and asked them to beg my stepfather on his behalf to lift the suspension. Santigi. My stepfather would tell the story amidst much laughter, how for weeks to come at every cocktail party, lunch or dinner he attended, every restaurant he entered, it seemed somebody came up to him to discuss Santigi's case. My stepfather remained adamant, however, until one day he attended an international banking conference. As the delegates gathered, the governor of the state bank approached him and asked to have a word. My stepfather thought the governor must have something confidential to discuss. They stepped aside. In a low voice, the governor said, "It's about your steward, Santigi." Santigi was found a job as a messenger in the offices where my stepfather worked. Hi, Santigi. The job gave him a decent income and a pension and removed him from the dangers of the liquor cabinet. He still dyed his hair and now wore dentures too. He also lied on his application form about his age, partly perhaps out of vanity, but no doubt believing this might give him an advantage. What it meant was that he was obliged to continue working well after his retirement age. Santigi would live to see the country all but destroyed by war and survive the invasion of Freetown by rebel forces in 1999. When I returned home in 2000, he was there to greet me. I kissed him and he seemed overcome with shyness. I wrote of him and my cousin Morlai, who was there that day to greet me too, in the memoir of my family that I published 2 years later. I remember them both as confident lads. The flares, the sunglasses, the illicit cigarettes, the slang. Santigi didn't say much during our reunion. He watched and listened a while as Morlai and I laughed and chatted then. Picking up the pair of chickens Morlai had brought me as a gift, he slipped away to the back of the house. When I published the book, a launch was held in Freetown at the British Council. It was a formal occasion, as book launches in Sierra Leone generally are. Santigi turned up drunk. I gave him his own signed copy. He kissed it and he slapped me on the back, and he kept on slapping me on the back, hearty blows, even when I was trying to sign books. Guys, I saw Santigi a good few times over the years to come. He would visit when I was home. Not once was he sober. Mom didn't want me to give him money. She said he spent it on moonshine. So I gave the money to Marion for his daughter Yabome instead. Santigi gave up his little house in Wilberforce and started moving from one rented room to another. He had retired by then, and Mom could no longer contact him at the bank. She lost track of where he lived, but not entirely. If too many months went by, she always sent for news, and somebody somewhere could always tell her Santigi's whereabouts. He came to visit less often. It's strange how some people's stories always end the same way. A possible clue comes from my cousin Morlai, who began to drink at the same time as Santigi after my father's execution. Okay, so it felt like we were going back into the darkness, he told me. My brother told me that years ago he helped Santigi clear out his little house in Wilberforce, and among his possessions were dozens of pictures of my father, from snapshots to photos torn from newspapers. A near-death experience while drunk shocked Morlai into sobriety. He married and had children. He grew back into himself, stronger this time. Today, he's a successful businessman, and although those things that happened to our family meant Morlai was never able to finish college, all his own children have done so. For whatever reason, even though we loved him, for Santigi, redemption never came. On my last visit home to Freetown, I arrived to discover Santigi had had a stroke 2 weeks earlier. In the weeks that followed, Mom and I tried to get him moved to a care home, but he died before that could happen. So we bought him a coffin, and all his neighbors chipped in to buy him a suit from the second-hand clothes stalls at Government Wharf. I'd never seen Santigi in a suit. I asked Mum what he looked like. She laughed softly and told me he looked good. I was back in England on the day of his funeral. I couldn't go, so I sat at my desk and I did what writers do. I wrote this instead. Oh, what a beauty. It was. I loved it. I really, really loved it, guys. Yeah, so that was Santigi by Aminatta Forna, who is born in Scotland. She was raised in Sierra Leone and the UK, and also she also spent periods of her childhood in Iran, Thailand, and Zambia. Her novels are Ancestor Stones, 2006, The Memory of Love, which is a winner of the Commonwealth Writers' Prize, and she's got The Hired Man. I also have that, The Hired Man, which is from 2013, and Happiness, which was published in 2018. And in 2002, she published a memoir of her dissident father in Sierra Leone, The Devil That Danced on the Water. She is the winner of a Wyndham Campbell Award and has been a finalist for the New Start Prize, the Orange Prize, the Samuel Johnson Prize, and the Impact Award. Academic positions she held include Professor of Creative Writing at Bath Spa University, Sterling Brown Distinguished Visiting Professor at Williams College in Massachusetts, and currently Lannan Visiting Chair of Poetics at Georgetown University. And she was appointed an officer of the Order of the British Empire in 2017 for services of literature. Sure, she is. I need to read those books. I'm actually, after this, I'm hacked that I actually haven't picked up her work. Ms. Viner says Santigi battled with deep grief and it swallowed him. Yeah. I think what happened to them actually just affected them so badly, and that's his way of dealing with it. And I guess him also needing an audience also was his way of, like, healing type of, and just to feel like he's part of society. Very unfortunate that he actually couldn't get an education afterwards, right? But I loved how her family values education. That was beautiful. And even though some of the parents and the cousins didn't go to school, their children will always, be encouraged to go to school. That was beautiful. I loved the story. Oh, Santigi. That was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you've been having a very good reading time. I'm finding it very, very hard. Yeah, it's tough times with this COVID. There's bad news after bad news every day, and I guess it's taking a toll on me. So yeah, I'm not really feeling books right now, but yeah, at least I got to read this over the weekend, and I was like, wow, so I'm glad I actually did that. I hope I'll get to do some reading today and maybe tonight after putting the twins down. But yeah, that was today's reading from Black Girl Magic Mondays, New Daughters of Africa. So I read from New Daughters of Africa every Monday from 5 o'clock until just before 6. So yes, today I was lucky enough to read 2 stories. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed both. I'm actually really enjoying this book. You need to get it if you don't have it. It is available on all platforms. I think it should be available on Book Depository, even if Book Depository is in your country. For us, it doesn't for us. Ms. Wana says, it is interesting that in her book, The Memory of Love, she highlights the post-traumatic disorder after the Civil War. Oh, wow. You see, yes, The Memory of Love. I actually read it. Now I remember that. Oh my goodness, I need to get back to it. I need to read it, and it's actually a hardcover. Yeah, I should read it. Thank you. Thank you. Sona Mill says this was so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. You enjoy. I see the laughing. You're laughing at the fact that Santigi, yeah, he was a character. Beautiful human being, so loyal, right? Reading Nomad. You've only read Leila's Minaret. Okay. Her short story collection Elsewhere Home is a beautiful read. I should be collecting short story collections, actually. I need to get on it. I missed out on the CNA 20 Rand sale. Oh my goodness. All the stores are just empty now. But anyway, I have enough books, actually. But yeah, that was it, guys. This will be loaded up onto IGTV. Yeah, and it will be also loaded onto YouTube soon. Santigi could be suffering from that 2 years. Yeah. This, guys, get this book if you don't have it. Get it for your girlfriend. She deserves it. Okay, I gotta go. Please keep safe, guys. This virus is literally out there. Yeah, we've been affected very, very closely. And it's just, yeah, it's been a very rough couple of days. And we're just praying, hoping for healing and recovery for everybody. But yeah, that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you can, please go on to Ask a Parent. They have Molemi's review of Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, the children's edition. It is up, and yeah, I'm just very happy about that. That's the one thing that made me smile today. If you can, I do have it on my stories as well. So please, could you do that for me? Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Candace, I just finished. So I hope you will go on to IGTV for this. Thank you, guys. I'll see you tomorrow at 5. Bye.